what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Ref Room. I am Scott Smokin Silz on a Monday afternoon or evening, along with my good friend, Mr. Brad Baumruck, our local referee-in-chief here from the Chicagoland area. Glad you guys could join us. Lots to talk about today. I know we're going to talk about game management today. We're definitely going to talk about that, but we got a lot of other stuff going on. I mean, it's playoff season. It's winding down. It's busy, but it's winding down. And everybody's working hard, and there's a lot going on. So I'm going to let you start it off today and kind of get us caught up here with what's happening, and then we'll go from there.
Well, our local Central States, so one of our Tier 2 leagues, they played their championships over the weekend. So they are done. So no more Central States for this year. They'll be back ready and raring to go in September. So don't worry, it won't be that long. Nihil has their round robin play, our other Tier 2 league. They have that this weekend coming up. And then their finals are the weekend after. And
so we got 2 weeks at Nihil, right?
Yep.
Okay.
And then exciting news is, if I can get my computer to cooperate for me here.
Why would it start now, right?
Yeah, the Premier Selects are going to be playing their final on, let me just double check. This is kind of a cool announcement. That's why I want to get it out there. On Sunday the 18th. And those are going to be played at the United Center.
Yeah, I think we talked about that last week, didn't we? That is very cool.
I can't remember.
I mean, you know, that's reason enough to go play in the Premier Select League, right?
Yeah, definitely a big boost there. I know that they did a lot of work trying to get some time in there, and I think
that's
there's
awesome.
Going to be 5 or 6 games.
Wow, that is very cool.
So
you know, and then of course everything leads up to high school. You know, we're in the playoffs now. When do the the games that are the what?
Playing games. The playing games have already started.
Yeah, they've started,
so
but
they are underway.
All right. Well, you know, it's going to be here before you know it. Where'd you work all weekend?
So I worked at Orland Park and I worked at Darien.
Okay. Were your games on time, or were you guys behind?
We were late Sunday, and Saturday we were on time. They had a couple runners that day in the middle of the day. And then
I don't think I saw a runner all weekend, my friend.
Well,
I saw a lot of 1-goal games.
I had a game Thursday that was an hour and 10 minutes late to start. So the men's league guys that were playing at 10:40 were playing until 11:50. And unfortunately, they couldn't move what rink they were on because they had another rink done. Right. Because the lines persons were lining for me that were also working the men's game.
Oh, yeah. So
I don't know exactly what they did, if they waited it or if they decided to play another day or ready to go home.
I had a couple of interesting questions raised over the weekend because we were pretty far behind. We were about an hour behind on our games. And there was going to be a high school game held after the Central States games. So the question was raised by one of a couple people. Can you start a youth game after 10 p.m.?
So if it's scheduled to start before 10 p.m., yes. So let's say that game was supposed to start at 9 p.m. And the rink is behind, yes, they can still run the game. They can't schedule games outside of those times. Okay.
Now, that's a great answer because we all went to the rule book to try to figure this one out. And it's like at 10 o'clock. Didn't come down to even being close. I think the game got started at like 9:15 or something like that. It wasn't a big deal. Yeah. But we have had a couple incidents where we've had games go overtime and shootout and all that good stuff. And we were an hour and 35 behind and probably right there at that point. So
I've seen where the teams have opted to not play that night because it is so far behind. And they will just move it to another day. And luckily at this time of the year, there is ice available. Also, there's a lot of leagues and clubs that hold ice, like practice ice and game ice, still at this time, because they have to purchase it because they purchase it throughout the whole year.
Yep.
They will be able to accommodate to find the ice in order to play. But I have seen it happen where they don't actually play the game, but they can start it as long as it wasn't scheduled.
Okay, well, you broke up there, but as long as it wasn't scheduled for after 10 o'clock, so you could schedule a game technically for 9:55, and if the rink is an hour behind, you could still be playing that game. So, all right,
Yep.
Good information. That's something everybody needs to know, because this time of year you get a lot of overtimes, you get a lot of things going on, and it's busy, or you get an injury, and let's hope that's not the case, but it is what it is.
Yeah. The important thing is too, Scott, is like when you're working like a round robin tournament or just a tournament in general, right? If you're the first game and you start 5 minutes late, and every game subsequently started 5 minutes late after that because the referees aren't out there on time, you're 40 minutes behind after 8 games.
Yeah.
For that last game. So it's important for us to get out there, get the games moving, get out on time. And then when we are doing the games, hustling the puck back on icing saves an incredible amount of time. It keeps your game moving.
Or getting that defenseman to shoot it down to the referee, he moves it even faster.
Well, that's not what we're going for. You should be shagging the puck, but if they are courteous enough to shoot it down, I don't think you're going to tell them no.
Exactly. All right,
But,
so that was one thing.
To it.
That was something that came up. There was another very interesting discussion in the ref room. This isn't the only ref room in town, but in the ref room, and one of our veteran officials that's been around for a long time had a really good idea. We were talking about the neck laceration protection. So for those of you that weren't on the show, we have like an episode. We really discussed it last week, if you go back. But there is a change coming for, I believe it's August 1st. Is that the correct date?
August 1st.
August 1st. So they are designing like real neck protection. It's not going to be the Calvin Klein band around your neck any longer. Basically to try to keep you safe. It's an actual shirt that you'll be wearing, or what would be called like in the old-fashioned days, it's called a dickie. It's like a turtleneck that's like a square that comes down.
Oh.
That was called a dickie, and, popular back in the 60s, I think, or 70s probably. But that's what they're going to come up with. So the suggestion was made, instead of all the individual players going out and buying these and trying to, get whatever they want to get, maybe the teams should be buying. The organization should buy for their teams. And with that being said, it was a really good idea. Okay, you could put a logo on it, put your team logo on it. Now it becomes more a part of the uniform. It's not a competition who's got the best one or a different looking one or whatever the case may be. Now we got everybody actually wearing it. It's like part of their uniform. Probably a better price if they bought them in quantity versus each person going out individually and getting, hit up with the one that we were told about before, the TJ Oshie, I think is around $200. I don't know if these will be $200, but just a basic, like a CCM or a Bauer moisture wicking shirt, long sleeve without any padding on it, runs probably about $79, give or take $10. They're not cheap. And I'm sure this will be some sort of moisture wicking fabric along with protection, possibly cut proof. If it's a full shirt, there may be more cut proof material added to it. So I could see the cost going pretty high, but what a great idea if these teams bought as an organization and made it a part of their uniform where everybody would wear the thing and there would be no, I don't think we're going to have an issue, to be honest with you, because now it's something you got to have on. It's not something we can send you off and you can go grab. It's going to be a problem for you if you have to go grab it, because you're going to have to take your shoulder pads off, your elbow pads, your suspenders, and everything else to get this thing on. It's not going to be I'll be in the locker room and back before the timeout is over. So, I'm hoping that will be the case. But anyway, I thought that was a really good idea that somebody came up with, and I wanted to share that with everybody because again,
I didn't think
whatever
of
it
but I
takes
get
to
where they're coming from.
make it easier for everybody to conform to the new regulation that we'll have would be great. All right.
Yeah, and just to clarify with that, because I think there's going to be some confusion. So it is age classification wise. So any youth or girls hockey, so that's U19 and U18, everything below that, right? So those are the two highest.
Yep.
Everybody has to wear neck laceration protection. It doesn't matter that you turned 18 during the season.
Right.
You have to wear it. And officials under the age of 18 have to wear it.
18 and under or under 18?
Under 18.
Okay, under 18.
The age of maturity is 18.
Yeah. All right. So, would Iowa consider buying these for our youth officials? Is that a possibility?
I don't even know anything about them yet.
Okay.
I haven't even gone to buy mine for my boys yet. So
Yeah.
we got a couple of months still to even check what's going on with all
Are they
of it.
even in? I don't think they're in the stores, to be honest with you, because I've had some people say that they've tried to go find the shirts that they used to have that did have the neck guard built in, and there's like one in the store. I mean, there's been a run on that sort of thing.
Right.
And, they're going to have to gear up for it for the coming season. So,
Correct.
I'm sure there'll be more information coming as we go along, because that's pretty major.
I think the manufacturers they already were very quick about putting everything out. They had it announced like the next day after it passed or that afternoon. So I think they'll be the experts on this one to help us out with this. So that's all I could say. And once we get more directions, we'll distribute them. You got to watch your emails. USA Hockey sends out stuff. I know that a lot of USA Hockey stuff goes to people's spam. That's because they send out thousands of emails. Make sure and go unblock them from your provider.
Right. All right. And with that being said, let's talk a little bit about game management. I know you were going to be instructing on some of these topics tonight for your ADP meeting, but we're going to jump in and let the rest of the world know what the deal is here.
Yeah, so I think the big thing is playoffs is, we want to make sure that the games are being decided by the players on the ice. You are going to have some heated situations that are going to require some talking skills. You're going to have to go try to calm that coach down, unless they've made it personal. Okay, once they've crossed into that personal line, please utilize 601. Okay, and utilize it properly. Remember which ways you have to penalize. During play, the coach has to get a minor. Second offense that they've been previously gotten a bench minor for can then be a game misconduct anytime else throughout the game. You can't skip that minor. You have to have that minor. Now, if it's after the game, you can automatically assess them the game misconduct. But during the game, it has to have that minor first.
And typically, there should be a warning that goes even in front of that minor, right?
If you can.
If it's possible.
Sometimes.
If it's possible.
Yeah, if it's possible. And again, like I said, you are going to run into some heated moments to where you're going to have to go talk. And that's just the case. As for the players, remember, you have to assess the minor first if they dispute a call. Okay? It's a minor. Any dispute on a call. And then when you move in, if there's a language issue or something like that and the player's identifiable, you can move to that 10-minute misconduct.
Right.
Okay, but you have to give them the 2, the 10, then they get the game.
That was funny because we had a Pee Wee game the other night, and the little center, he goes, "What is he complaining about now?" I said, "Well, he's just whining." He goes, "That's all he does. He's just referring to the other team's coach." I was like, "You're a pretty smart little guy."
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. It is what it is. It's the time of the season, folks. It's the time of the year.
There's a great comment that just got put in, Scott.
Oh,
There's
okay.
a great comment that just got put in by somebody.
The first one or the second one?
The first one that he put in there.
Okay. Jake Morris says, "I never use 601 because I've mastered the other 39 penalties." There you go.
And I'm guessing so even if you've mastered the other 39 penalties, which I claim to be this way too, because I don't typically throw any coaches out. What if they throw a stick at you from the bench? Any of your mastery of those other 39 penalties just went out the window.
Yeah.
So I get exactly where they're coming from. That's a big saying from the older guys. If you do apply the other rules properly, you shouldn't have any problems. But
it says refs are nowadays super soft. If you're doing a 6-0-1 in a playoff game, get the hell out. Well, yes and no. I pretty much agree with you on that. You're going to have to take a lot, okay? It's unfortunate that it's like that, but it's like that, and that's the way it is, to quote Run DMC. It's like that, and that's the way it is.
I got it. Oh, I got it.
Yeah, it just is. I mean, I wish we could chirp the coaches back, like, what kind of line change was that? Why are you putting him out there instead of her? That sort of thing.
Why didn't you take that timeout 2 minutes ago when you could have scored a goal and you had it 5 on 4?
Exactly. Or the coach that he was yelling, offside, offside, offside. And I went over and was like, this is the second period. That's your team going in the zone. Do you want me to call the offside? I'm happy to blow the whistle. Let me know. Yeah.
The other thing, big thing is when you're dealing with these games, you are going to have teams that are ultimately defeated. They're defeated by a points match, sometimes goal differentials, right. Stuff like that. Try to keep that in mind. Get to the rink early. Most of the rinks normally have it posted what's going on in the playoffs. Yep. If you have a game that one team is mathematically eliminated, try to keep it in mind. If they are causing havoc, remember that the other team is moving on and their players are moving on. And I think one of the best things you can do in game management for that point is during the game, if you already know the team's mathematically eliminated, just say to the coach, hey, we already know these guys are mathematically eliminated. I know you want all your guys here tomorrow, right? You can do that before the game. Just say, just don't get your guys out of the BS. And we'll take care of the rest.
Hey, that's almost a jinx situation, though, because, we get the practice games. These teams schedule a practice game, and they're like, oh, this is going to be really easy because, it doesn't mean anything. But it never means anything, okay? That's the reality of it is. When the puck goes down, everybody wants to win at all costs. And if they don't like somebody, just because it's a practice game doesn't mean they like them any less or any more.
Well, I can tell you this. This is why I do not do alumni games.
Oh, yeah. Alumni games could be. Yeah. As you're going through the games, make sure that you do know what's going on with penalty counts. Always make sure that you know that a player has, if they get into 4, I won't lie, I was on the ice and I'm like, he's got 1, 2, 3, and then I'm like skating down and I turn to my lines and I'm like, hey, can you go check? I know he's got 3, but I had quite a few penalties in this game, which is very unusual. For a championship game. No, for a championship game that was so close. It was unusual that they were taking these penalties. And the lines went over there, and it sure as heck was his 4th. And, we removed him, so he didn't come back out and play, and we got somebody else in the box. But that 4 comes real fast nowadays. So, and I'm still used to the 5, so I was like, I think he's got 3. I'm like, I know he's got 3. I'm like, we better check. Let's have this checked out. So we did, and we got it all worked out. But that's one big thing. Also, when you get out to go ahead. Look at that nice comment from Jimmy Wright. Jimmy is the man. He was awesome, by the way, too, because he took great care of all of us there, and they provided beverages and just like Gatorade and water and snacks and all the stuff that refs like to have in the room when they're working long days. So thank you for that, Jimmy. Ran a great tournament. Yeah. We had a lot of great games. It's a fun time. Can't wait till next year. Okay.
All the host sites were great. I didn't hear any complaints from referees. Luckily, the parents were great too. There wasn't a lot of issues that happened. What I do want to say is,
You're cutting me off. Okay.
did you talk?
Did I talk? No. You keep going.
Oh, sorry. But no, I'm just saying, I just want to put out there that, the parents were good. Like, I don't think I heard anything throughout all my games this weekend, which was amazing. I don't know what you had up in your rink, but I didn't hear anything really from the officials.
I was okay with my games. I'm not sure everybody else was with their games. I mean, we had a few, few boisterous people out there as always. Let's not kid ourselves. Everything is on the line. These people have spent a lot of money over the course of the year, and they love their kids and they want to see their kids win. And if it doesn't work in their favor, they're not happy about it always. And that's just the reality of it. That is the nature of our game, folks. It is, win at all costs, and winning is everything. And that's just how it rolls. So get used to it. It makes for a great environment. It makes for, I don't know about you. I like when the places are filled. I like when there's, heat. The fire is turned up. I like it.
So
I enjoy that.
One of the local organizations, Sabres, their U15s were playing in the championship. There must have been 60 other players were wearing, because they have their yellow jerseys, They were wearing their yellow jerseys up in the stands, making all this ruckus, and it was a lot of fun. I had a good time, so it was a lot of fun, and their hockey director was out there as well, and he came by and said hi, and so it was a lot of fun. So I'm with you. Once we get to this time, you get some people there, and they get a little crazy, but it's fun.
I think the girls are better at this than the guys are sometimes. But if teams from the same organization are playing like a game before or game after, I see a lot of camaraderie coming from, the younger or older players that will turn around and watch the other players that are playing, and they're cheering them on, and they're loud and they're having fun, and it makes for a great environment. That's why I love the high school games, because people come out to those games, and some of these schools really draw some nice crowds, and it's fun to be in those busy buildings where, there's lots of energy and excitement and all that good stuff. It's just, even if you're not a player, it's what you live for. This is what we want too. We like that. So, power to the people that come out and support. I love it. Let's see. What is this? We have to shut doors. Screaming child is not happy. I don't know who that is. Okay.
I don't either.
Not at my house. I know that.
The only thing I can think of is that they meant like when somebody's screaming at the rink.
Oh.
I don't know.
Yeah,
or maybe one of my kids in the background screamed, but he's just yelling at his Xbox.
Yeah, that's all good. They're practicing. They're beating on the glass. All right.
The other thing, too, is with this game management part, properly placing penalties. All right, so in other words, you have a player hit a player from behind. Call the 2 and the 10, or the 5 in a game. Don't call the 2 and the 10 because you don't want to call the 5 in a game because you don't want to throw somebody out. If they have committed the crime to deserve the punishment, penalize them. Okay, that can always be reduced. All right, that's the one thing. The suspension can be reduced. Everybody is on call during these times, and everybody works for it. Normally, that stuff gets resolved if it's an issue. Error on the side of safety. That's the biggest thing that I can state. Like, we've had a lot of swinging of the stick incidents. Okay, and what I mean by swinging of the stick, I mean 2 guys are going at it. The one guy turns away, and the other guy slams him in the back with it.
Oh, nice.
Okay, and they're up, like, I think they shared a number with me. I think it was like 600% from last year.
Wow.
Of these incidents.
That's not good.
So there's a lot of them going out, and the officials, we need to think about that and go, that's a match. Or if you really don't know, assess the match, get your report in right away. The powers that be will take a look at it. We'll get the video. We'll look at it. It can be reduced. Yeah. Okay, but the swinging of the stick, it's got to stop. It's really, somebody is going to get seriously injured. We haven't had it happen yet here, luckily, where it's seriously injured that I'm aware of, but it's becoming a problem. So
Yeah.
I just want to put that on.
Times have changed. Players didn't used to do that. Like they had more respect for one another than to do something like that. And I think that that's something that needs to be taught. And, coaches, that's something you need to be teaching your players about. Respect as a player out there, and, do unto others as they would do unto you. I mean, do you want some kid taking a stick to the back of your player's head? Probably not. I don't know any coach that would. So, you need to teach these players and get them under control. The guys are bigger and stronger. The girls are bigger and stronger than they were when I was growing up. And, they all work out like hours and hours a day, and they're in great shape. But there's no reason for this. I mean, come on. Coaches, you got to step up on that. I'm going to put that on the coaches and the parents, both, to garner that respect with the other players that are out there. It's just not good. It's not good for our game at all. We all kid around, and we like, a lot of activity and a lot of, a brawl every now and then, or whatever the case may be. But times have changed, and that's not the way our game is played anymore. If you're not sure about that, watch an NHL game. Okay? I mean, the shenanigans are pretty minimal there if you watch. I mean, checks are to separate players. They're not to take somebody's head off. Does it happen every now and then? Yes, it does. It's a tough game, and there's a lot of emotions like we talk about. But, this stuff that's just ridiculous is not good.
And if you look at the NHL, even if it goes under penalized or is missed completely, they get a fine, and it's quick. It's not like 3 or 4 days later anymore. Now it's almost the next morning they're fining these guys.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately they don't have that in youth hockey. In junior hockey, we used to be able to, because you didn't want more than one group of guys fighting at once. And as the referee, I'd wheel over to them and I'd be like, fine book's coming out if you don't make it back to the bench, because it was a $50 fine if they stood around. Boy, they scattered. They were gone. They all went right
is a lot for those guys. They don't make that much.
Junior hockey, they're paying to be there unless
there
they're
you
playing
go.
USHL, and everything's garnished for them.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, it's just one of those things that it's a tool that we don't have. I wish we did, but we don't. But we need to use our communication.
Yeah.
Verbally.
Something else, I wish the coaches would teach the players. We have scrums. I get it. We have scrums. But you coming in thinking you're helping the situation is not helping the situation.
Yeah.
Stay out of it. Let the referees do their jobs. Let the linesmen do their jobs. If you come in there, the next guy's going to want to come in there, and so on and so forth. And it's not a good situation. And, you see that everybody, I'm just trying to help. Nobody wants your help. No, nobody needs your help. Trust me. Not needed. Teach your players, coaches. Teach them. All right, what else you got?
I think another thing to be mindful of at this time of the year is to make sure that the score sheet has the accurate amount of players on it.
Yep.
If a player is left off the score sheet, incidentally, and they happen to be serving a suspension, guess what? It's like that suspension never happened.
Yeah.
Let's say they have 21 players listed on the score sheet.
Yep.
Can be a problem. So that comes down to the referees counting once we first get out on the ice.
Yep.
Big trick to that, because we have to be out on the ice before the players anyways. Once you get out there, if you have 2 lines people, assign them 1 each door, count them as they come out the door onto the ice. Can't miscount. I know some people have problems counting by 2s and 4s, or like me, I count by 5s now. But, it's a quick trick. As they're coming out, they're all coming out in a row. They're like ducks.
Yeah.
Swimming, and just 1, 2, 3. Go over to the referee. I got this many. We got this many on the sheet. We're done. Took 10 seconds.
Yeah, and I always confirm it with the coaches. I go, I got 15. your sheet says 16.
Yeah, you're supposed to
What's
have
the
more.
deal? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, is
And they'll
somebody
usually
missing?
know. They'll be like, oh yeah, somebody's coming late, or somebody is not in the lineup today, or whatever. I got to take them out. So
I've
it always helps,
I've
and that's a
had
good
more people.
conversation starter to go over to the coaches. It lets them know you're already paying attention to what's going on. It's nice
I've
to
had
have
more coaches.
a few
this
words
year.
with everybody, but when you can come over and tell them what the overtime rules are, tell them give them the number of timeouts they get, whatever. Just kind of shows you're like thinking about their game.
Yeah, and I can't believe how many coaches I've had this year go to the other coaches. Did they call you? Did they call you? No, nobody called anybody. I guess they're not coming. I couldn't believe that. I'm like, what?
Well,
Like, what are
there was a
talking
post.
about? Like,
If you look at Facebook, there was a post that was put up this past week, and I don't know if it was an older post that recycled that came out of like the archives, which they do sometimes, because there were over 100 comments on this post, which is a lot. And they were talking about like commitment from some of the parents with the players, that they just decide they're not going to show up that day. They don't want to drive. Like the game is 2 hours away. They just don't show up. They don't tell anybody. They don't call anybody. The rest of the team is there, and there's just nobody there. Like, what happened to them?
Yeah, where's our goalie?
Yeah, well, that would be a real problem, especially if you didn't have a second one. Even if you have a second one, it's still a problem. But, when you sign up for these teams, and, I'm sure, if you make it to AAA, you realize how much this is costing you and what's involved and what the future holds for you. But even if it's a high school game, or it's, a tier 2 or is there a tier 3 or house league, whatever? It's a
Tier
commitment,
3.
folks. It's a commitment. I don't care if it's your men's league team. Let them know you're coming or you're not coming. If you sign in, show up. They need X amount of people to play. And coaches make lineups and they set things up and they get everything ready to go, and then you're changing everything. I mean, be committed. If you're not committed, you probably shouldn't be there. Okay, just the reality of it. So,
well, hang on. If they're not committed, they probably shouldn't be there. That's what we're talking about. That they aren't there, Scott.
Yeah, exactly. They won't be there. Okay. We never had these issues, honestly. Like, we knew what we were responsible for, and we were there. It didn't matter if it was a practice or a game. We were there. And
here was my old man.
And referees, if you're not there at least a half hour before, you better call your partner and let them know why. You should be there.
Text.
Yeah, I mean, it's unacceptable. I get stuff happens, things happen, freight trains happen, traffic happens, accidents happen. I get it. You got to communicate, let people know, and be honest with them. If you're going to be there 10 minutes after the puck drops, don't tell them you're going to be there at puck drop time.
Yeah.
They can get started. They can make arrangements with somebody else possibly to stay or get somebody to cover for 15 or 20 minutes or the first period till you get there. But communication is key. And it does happen. And, we should probably touch on this too, because, we were talking about games running behind. We got games that are running almost an hour behind. Guys, the officials may be scheduled to go to another rink. They have other games. And the schedulers take a lot of things into account. They do a great job in knowing how long it takes to get from point A to point B. But what they don't know is how far your game is behind. They can't really account for that. They account maybe for a little bit of it, but they cannot account for if you're an hour behind. They would expect that person is going to be there to cover that game. When you have overtimes and shootouts and everything else, they can't really account for that because they don't know how much time it's going to take, especially this time of year. Games can go infinity until you get a winner. Yeah.
We had an injury on Saturday in our first game, and it was 10:30 in the morning, and I had 2 games back to back, 4-hour commitment. and we were 48 minutes delayed. And my next game wasn't until like 5:50, but I was already thinking about, okay, once I get done with this first game, see where we're at with the time, because if not, I'm going to send over a text to who's over at the rink that I'm going to next, or the assigner, send him an email.
Yep.
Please give him a heads up. Hey, I'm coming.
Yeah.
Because if you're on the ice, you can't call anybody at that point.
No.
So
no,
if
your partner's not going to get the call. And you know, even if, okay, you're going to get there, it's all going to get worked out. Your partner can cover. You know who you're working with. Everybody's on the same page. It's still a nice courtesy even to let the assigners know, so they don't get a phone call out of the blue from somebody going, why was your guy not showing up till the second period? Well, what do you mean he didn't show up till the second period? Well, he didn't get out of his other game or whatever. Let them know. That way somebody calls it. Well, yeah, he's got an overtime situation. This is, unusual. He'll be there, whatever. Give him the courtesy. This is important, guys. Be on the same page, It just goes a long way. It just shows you care. Yeah. All right. What else you got? I'm letting you do the game management stuff today.
Well, it's not all game management. I think there's just some things that are good housekeeping things. I think one thing is, like, during a game, try to be approachable. I see some officials that are out there and they look like prune face from, like Dick Tracy. Okay?
It's called serial killer. Serial killer.
Yeah, you can show some emotion and smile every once in a while you're out there. Show them that you're human. Yeah. We should be having a good time while we're skating. If we're not, then, there's other things you could be doing with your time. We get that. But you should still be showing some sort of emotion that you want to be there. It's going to go a long way. And this is really not game management, but we're going in a different topic here. When you get to the rink, just work hard. I think the number one thing that we hear, I kid you not, from anybody, is they may say, hey, we had this guy, he did a really great job, or he didn't do the best job, but he worked hard and we weren't upset about it at all. And I think that's the biggest compliment that any official can get is about their work ethic, because unfortunately people are going to be upset when you miss something, and it's going to happen to the best of everybody. It's just the nature of our game. It moves too fast. We're moving. There's a puck getting flung around at our heads.
Yeah, people don't realize,
flying.
and
things
until you've actually gotten out there and tried to do this, okay? The game is totally different when you're sitting down and you're stationary watching the game from being out there on the ice. When you're trying to move and you're changing angles and you're trying to stay out of the way of players and pucks, your eye can come off something real quickly. Or if you're just sitting there having your beer, watching the game, it's really easy, but it's not the same, and I think a lot of people have realized that when they've come out to a level 1 seminar and tried to do it, because we've talked about this before, and even as simple as dropping a puck that everybody thinks, oh, it's dropping a puck.
Oh, it should be easy.
Who couldn't drop a puck? Should be easy. And I watch people struggle with it the whole time. I still watch people struggle with it that have been doing it for a long time.
Every once in a while, I'll drop it and have to hit the whistle because I misdropped it. It happens. Yeah. And I've been doing it 25 years. It's
icy and your hands are so cold it slips right out of your hand, and it's like and it went out before you even got your wrist down. So, it does happen.
I had a AAA guy on Saturday. I dropped it and he caught it. He caught it about 6 inches off the ice. Beep! I hit my whistle. What? I go, you can't move till it hits the ice. Okay.
Yeah. Well, some of the guys like to try to take their stick so they can pop it before it gets down there. That's a beer league thing.
Should be resetting.
That's right.
Be resetting that face off.
That's right. So
because he got me right off center ice, and I was like, God dang it! I hit the whistle right away, and I'm like, you can't do that. It's got to hit the ice. Okay.
Puck's got to go down, folks.
He's like, okay. Yeah, he was fine with it after I did it. We didn't have any more problems, but that was also I didn't drop it as fast as I normally would have. I was either too relaxed or...
Right.
Go ahead.
Well, let me throw a little tip out there for a lot of the linesmen and even, officials working the two official system. I don't know why, but players have decided there's hash marks for them, like to stand at, but they all decide that they should be able to come closer. And they should be able to get their head over the dot. Like the further I could put my helmet over the dot, the bigger advantage I have, which is not the case because you're never going to get a good drop from an official. And I've seen this over the last probably 2 years. It's getting worse and worse and worse. Again, coaches, teach your players how to line up. You have a lot of people that are centers that don't even know where their stick is supposed to go. That's inexcusable. It's inexcusable. If you're center, if you tell them they're looking at you like, what do you mean? Then they're not being coached. So coaches, teach your centers. I don't see why coaches aren't out with other players with buckets of pucks, dropping pucks for centers at practice. What an advantage. Winning faceoffs. I see teams that win every faceoff. Like the guy wins every faceoff. Like you're not winning. He gets control every time. Doesn't matter if it's his zone or your zone. Guess who gets the puck? He does. He knows how to take a faceoff. But the point being, if you've got somebody that two centers that want to be like, let me see if I can get near there, like this. If you step between them and get on the dot for a second, it separates them, and you can back out. And now they're less likely to, move like that real quickly back over. Like they've been positioned a little bit, and you can get the puck down. That's just a little tip, and I've seen it done in the NHL, and it's like that's a brilliant idea. Like, yeah, it keeps them separated, so they're not like before you get the puck down. You get a better drop, and better drop means a better face-off for everybody. So,
I agree.
All right. Let's talk about this one because goalies coming over to the bench.
Okay, great that you brought that up.
I watched this. Okay, so I called this a couple times in the last couple weeks, and then I watched a game and goalie two officials are ready to drop the puck. Goalie just darts off and goes to the bench. I'm like, I looked like this. I was standing in the stand, I'm like, not a word. Officials didn't say boo, didn't blink, just waited for him to come back. It's like, interesting. Let's talk about this because the goalies cannot leave.
That up.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that, and let's talk about. Go ahead.
In my U15 championship that I had, goalie's throat guard flap busted, right? Doesn't ask lines, doesn't ask me, goes right to the bench. And I'm like, what are you doing? I wheel over there and I'm like, okay, so give me your backup. Why? He goes, he didn't ask permission. Like, and there was nobody around him, so I knew that nobody asked. And I go, he didn't ask permission. And he's like, well, if I take my timeout, can I put it back in? I'm like, sure. I go, but you're either going to put your backup in or you're going to end up taking the timeout. He opted to take his timeout.
You've got four options. And I had this, and it was an NHL player behind the bench. Goalie came over. He's like, they're 13. I don't care. It's the rule. That's the way it is.
Yep.
And I took his timeout. He wasn't happy about it. But then 2 days later, I had the same coach, same goalie. He came right to the bench again. I turned to the coach. I go, didn't we learn anything? He just smiled. He goes, nope. I'm like, okay. It was funny. It's a funny moment. But what about goalies going over to the bench after a goal is scored?
Same thing.
Are they supposed to be over at the bench, or is the bench considered when they change out a piece of equipment or get something? So how far can the goalie go after a goal is scored in the celebration? Where can they go?
Where's his privileged area?
So if he leaves his privileged area at all, okay.
You're gonna give him the skating into the corner type thing. You're gonna give him that if he wants to do that. You know what I'm saying?
A lot of them come almost up to the bench area. They come pretty high up, almost to the blue line. And it's like,
Get them back.
Yeah.
And if you're a lines person on one of those games, just go say something to them. I did it in a AAA game that I had a couple weeks ago. I was like, "Hey, look, you can't come to the bench for goals." I go, "You can't do it." I go, "He's gonna make you change your goalie or a timeout." Well, we've never heard that rule. So what do? They go and they ask the referee, like, I'm telling you this because, like, I want you to go ask the referee. Like, what is wrong with you? I'm like, so they come back out and I'm like,
why
what,
is
you didn't
it
believe me?
that when a referee or an official knows a rule and they tell you what the rule is, why does everybody want to second guess them? Like, you can basically quote the rule to them almost down to, it's rule 641B and here's what it says. And they still look at you like you're crazy. I don't get that. It just blows my mind. It blows my mind. Like, where's that rule? What is that? Like, really? You haven't been around hockey that long? Okay.
So the referee, though, it was funny because after they came by, he goes, "Hey, thanks," because I was going to go over there and say something to him anyways. Yeah. He was on the same page I was, and I'm just trying to make sure that these guys don't have to have that happen. Yeah. Just whatever. I guess I'm just talking to talk. Yeah. I laughed at them, and then when they came back out, I was like, "What? You guys didn't believe me?" Like, I would tell you something like that because I don't want you over at the bench because there is no consequence. Is that what you're trying to say? I'm like, I don't understand. So they were like, "Well, I never heard it." I go, "There's probably a lot of rules you haven't heard." I go,
"Yeah.
Can you take your time out?
It's that thick.
Warm up your goalkeeper. Can you take your time out and warm up your goalkeeper?" 2 goalies. One said yes, one said no.
Yeah. Okay. How many pucks can you use, huh?
Yeah, that's like another paradox.
I'm just saying, the book is thick. Guys that know this stuff know what they're supposed to be doing. So it is what it is.
Correct.
The coaches, the player crosses his blue line and he's halfway to the red line and he fires the puck down and your arm goes up for an icing and they argue. And it's like, it's not men's league. There's a red line. You got to get to the red line.
Right.
They're mad if you call the ice and they're mad if you don't call the, like, what is up? Come on, guys. For coaches, pick your battles. Pick your battles. If you chirp for 60 minutes, not saying you're out there for 60 minutes, but if you chirp for 45 minutes or 50 minutes or whatever your time slot allows, it's just jibber jabber in one ear. If you're one of these professional coaches that doesn't say anything basically the whole game, and then all of a sudden he says something to you, guess what? I'm going to listen to him. I'm going to have that conversation because maybe we did make a mistake. Maybe we didn't make a mistake. Maybe he saw something we didn't see. Maybe we saw something he didn't see. But guess what? He's got my attention, and he's going to get the courtesy of an explanation or a conversation out of it versus all night long. Like, stop, folks. I don't know that you're getting an advantage doing that. I mean, when I got an 11 or 12-year-old center calling the coach out as like crazy, like, what do you think the referees think? It's no different, right? I mean, come on.
I hear you. Well, we are at that hour, Scott.
Oh, my God. We haven't even gotten off the soapbox yet. It does go fast. That's all I can tell you. Just like the season. The season went way too fast this year. Winter AAA playoffs. When's Tier 1?
State?
Yeah.
Already started.
Okay. When does that end?
Started, I think all their games are done by the end of next week. I think. Honestly, I don't know for sure, so don't quote me on it.
Yeah, I know we're getting close on everything. So
because everybody's starting to intermix, and it's hard for me to remember all the dates.
I know. For sure.
So,
all right, let's see. Couple quick, let's just say hello to a couple people that put in some comments here real fast.
Let's also pop out there that the high school red game, combined game, and the women's game are going to be on March 13th.
I said March
it's a
13th.
Wednesday.
For those of you that heard him
keep
kind of freeze up there, March 13th.
Oh, okay.
It's a Wednesday, right? At the United
tickets
Center?
will be available once they go.
Okay.
Yep.
Thanks, Ron. Always. All right.
There you go.
Karen, checking in. Attitude is game management. The second you step on the ice, attitude sets the tone for how others react. Very true. Great advice. Alex Crow says the level 1 seminar kids struggle with it. That's dropping pucks. It is so true. I, honestly, usually if I'm at a seminar before we get on the ice, hey, how easy is it to drop a puck? Raise your hand.
Yeah.
And when we get out there, remember I asked you that question? How many of you raised your hand? Yeah, okay. They learn quickly. All right. So we'll see you guys next week. We do this every Monday. What's that?
Only other thing is the high school women's game is at 3:30. The red game's at 5:30, and the combined game's at 8:30. Oh well.
Thanks, Karen.
Thank you, Karen.
Karen read your mind.
I already had it up.
See, Karen does her homework. She's prepared. Thank you, Karen. Much appreciated, as always. All right. We do this every Monday, 5:30 p.m. It is the Ref Room coming to you from Chicago with Brad Baumruck and myself, Scott Smokin Silz. Thank you for joining us. Have a great playoff season, everybody. We wish all the teams the best of luck. Play hard. Don't do anything stupid. Enjoy yourself. These are memories. These are memories you're going to have for the rest of your life playing in these games. Trust me. You know, if you go so far or you win something, you're going to remember this forever. So, you know, enjoy it and you know, treasure it because you'll be over 18 soon. And, you know, you won't have these fun opportunities unless you get to the next level. And not everybody will be doing that. So you'll be looking forward to men's league and, you know, hopefully winning a playoff game at some point in your life. That's what you'll have to look forward to. And that's not quite the same. I mean, it still feels great, but it's not quite the same. So enjoy this time of year and this time of your life because you'll have a lot of memories from it. It's a great game, and I wish everybody the best. So good luck, everybody. We'll see you next week. Peace out.